Okay, hi everybody. My name is Vedran and I'm CEO of Revuto. And believe it or not, it's 2:30 in the morning. I'm back home. My family is sleeping and I'm alive. I'm alive, not alive. Well, I'm live and alive actually. I was thinking, about doing this video and actually to tell people what Revuto is, what we are trying to do and why we are trying to do what we are doing. Yeah, this is something that I promised to you, to the community, and I think that we didn't actually do well on communicating everything that we are trying to achieve. To be honest, we were more focusing on the technology, on the development, and all the usual business related things that were bothering us, but still, I think that there is a lot much left to say about Revuto. Josipa, Marco, and we were together maybe more than a year ago in a studio trying to explain what Revuto is, but I think that the best way to explain everything is to, if I did do this by myself, because in the end, this is something that I started, although, I have a co-founders in Josipa and Marco. But the whole idea is basically in my head and I have a clear view of what we are trying to achieve here. So I prepared the presentation and I'm gonna try to go through a few slides. I think that this is gonna be a long video, so maybe I'm gonna cut it afterwards. I know, maybe make a few, 2, 3, 4 videos out of it. We'll see. Also, I'm not sure if I'm gonna record this all the way in one take, because again, it's almost 3 in the morning, drinking my Coke. So this should help. So yeah, also, yeah, let me see. I'm gonna try to share my screen. So this is streaming live on a Zoom. I actually didn't find a better way how to put the video together. So yeah, let's jump. Actually, let's leave that thing for later. Those slides. First of all, to tell you a bit, how I met Marco and why we actually started working on Revuto. So basically, I met with Marco in 2017, and this is the time when I came to San Francisco to actually try to find funding for my previous startup. I was working on a hardware product. It was really tough for me build a product or actually, do the business from Croatia. So I decided to move to San Francisco. In the past, I went through several startup accelerators all over the world, basically. And yeah, so building the hardware is not easy. And it was, at that time, it was even harder to do something from Croatia because we didn't have any VCs here like we do now and things like that. So in the end, I was told by my friends who already went to San Francisco to go there and try to raise money. And luckily, I came there in early January 2017, and that was the time when that, I would say, that not the last one, but the previous one before that, the bull cycle, the crypto bull cycle started. The reason why I'm telling that is because that was basically the first time that I got in touch with the crypto, and when I started to learn about the technology. I have to admit that I did that because of my, need, because I didn't have much money at that time, and I was trying, I was searching for the way, how to actually get money. During the time, I connected with a few of those people in Silicon Valley coming from my region, from not only from my country, but from the neighboring countries. And this is when I met a couple of guys who were already involved with crypto, because crypto at that time was a huge thing. I even went to a couple of those meetups in San Francisco. Not only actually to learn about the crypto, but also I went there, believe it or not, to get some free food and drinks. That's how hard how hard it was for me at that time. But still, during the weekends we would I would gather with the friends from the town, which were from my region, and we would have a good time. We would play cards, and interestingly, I was the one who was actually being in charge of that, making good times during the weekends. And I would actually gather people. We would play poker. And I remember that the first time when I heard about Ethereum, actually, because obviously I knew for the Bitcoin, and yeah, that well, the first time when I heard about Bitcoin was actually in 2012, and I had planned there already in 2012 to buy some Bitcoins, because I sold my apartment to actually run my business, my startup idea. And I decided to put, it was 10,000 euros at the time. I decided to put it in crypto, in Bitcoin. And my dear friend said, no, this is stupid. Nobody knows about the Bitcoin and how it's gonna work out. That's highly speculative and everything. And eventually I decided not to invest. I actually borrowed money to that friend. That was a really bad idea, but in the end, somehow, life again connected me with crypto in that 2017. And again, that one night, we gathered to play poker, and that was still in January 2017. And I was the bank, and I asked guys, give me like $10. That was actually the first time that we played the poker. And I said, guys, give me $10 for buy-in. And you know how that works in the US. Nobody has cash with him. And people would, tell me, can I Venmo you money? I didn't know what Venmo was at that time, but it was something like a PayPal. Then somebody said, I can send you $10 via PayPal. That somebody said, I can, transfer money to your bank account. And then there was one guy who said, listen, I'm going to give you 1 Ethereum. And I said, what is Ethereum? And he said, it's a really hot cryptocurrency right now. It's the price is growing as hell. At the time, I believe it was like $8 or something. And he said, you should look into it. And it's going to be much more tomorrow. So take it. And I said, how can I take it? I don't know anything about it. And yeah, so people, the next time when we met again, there was a talk about the crypto and how Ethereum is a much better thing to invest in than Bitcoin. And people were telling me, to go into it. So first of all, I didn't have much money to buy crypto, but I was listening to them. And I remember the one day that, the one guy that most of us hated, because he was complaining that we were loud and that we didn't care about the house because we were drinking, having fun, and he was coding in the corner on his computer all the time. He didn't want to engage with us and have fun. But one day he came to that house and he said, I'm moving away, and I bought few houses in California. I'm gonna rent them out. And he bought a BMW M2, blue one, and I was really envy. And I said, fuck, this man was right, and he screwed us. We were drinking and having fun, and he was investing all the time in crypto. And now he's leaving. And this was actually the moment that I said, I'm not gonna skip the opportunity. I'm gonna learn as much as I can about that thing called crypto. Later in a year, around it was maybe February or March, I went to one pitch contest in one brewery, and this is where 3 people from Croatia actually pitched to people from Croatia, but which were from the Bay Area. and this is that was the first time that I met with Marco, and Marco came to me and he said, Vedran, listen, you have an interesting product and everything, but I don't know nothing about the hardware and about the technology that you're pitching. And then, we started to talk, and we made a plan to actually meet one day, one-on-one, and talk about, why I came there, and, and if and how he can help me. I believe that I have, so I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Okay, let's go here. I'm gonna share the whole desktop. Okay, let me check now how that looks. No, so okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Let's go here. Just also let me check, how did this goes. Okay, yeah, it works. Sorry about that, but yeah, this just, I didn't prepare anything. This is just, recording on the fly. So let's go back here. Yeah, this is the photo of me and Marco on 27th of April. And this is actually the first time that we met one-on-one, and we met in another brewery, interestingly, in San Francisco. And yeah, this is the, the time when we actually talked about everything, what I was doing there and what he was doing there, and things like that. Then later on, we actually, met a couple of times as well. And now I'm gonna stop sharing this. Okay. And during the time, we actually became really good with each other. Marco was a bit older than me. He's now more than 50 years old. I'm 44, so I believe maybe 8 years he is older than me. And yeah, he was actually one who tried to help me, because yeah, I came there, to raise money without money, and to try to work on my business and make it big. But during the times, we were talking about a lot of things, and at one time I was complaining to him, and actually I asked him, Marco, do you have the same problem that I do? And he asked, what was the problem? And I said, Marco, listen, I came here to the States, and I noticed that everything that I'm paying for actually to run my business, and then also, about that, to eat, to commute, I'm paying on the subscription business model. And in the US, that was the huge thing, because everything was on subscription basis. So even when you order food, you can actually go to those services and, select if you want to have your food delivered every day to your doorsteps, and do you want to get food cooked, or there were services offering, to deliver you the raw food, and you get a recipe and you cook that by yourself and things like that. But, also to go to the cinema, I love go to the movies, and then you can also go to Fango and buy that subscription, and then, go to cinema as you please, or you maybe have some limitation on how many times you can go per month. And then if you want to gym, you also subscribe to one service, and then you can go to all those gyms in the city. To commute, there was a service Get Around, Turo, not just Lyft and that Uber. So those were two completely services where you can actually rent out people's cars, like you rent out Airbnb. And again, and also, I was running my business at the time, and many things I was paying on subscription business model. And what is the problem? The problem was that, at that time, as I was trying to run my business while not having a lot of money, I would have trouble to paying to all those services, and I lost track, to whom, how much, with what I was paying for. And that was a mess, because I was using not only the cards from my bank, my personal bank account, my business bank account. Then also I have a couple of those cards from the fintech companies. Later on, from the crypto. I remember I used the BitPay card, and I was the earliest user of all those, like Wirex, Chapo, you name it, all those early crypto cards. So yeah, I said, I don't even know how much I'm paying for, but the problem is, whenever I need money or something, and I put it on my, account on or whatever, and something takes the money out from my account. And that was a big problem for me. I remember that one time I actually put like $200 on my card, on my account. And then I went out, I wanted to buy something, and I was charged for $150 or something. And I didn't know, who took money from my account. And then I went to the app and I said, I saw AMS, some like numbers. I didn't even know, who charged me. And then later on, I Googled and I saw that actually Microsoft took the money from my account for the office. And then I remembered, oh gosh, I sold the computer like maybe 6 months ago, like no 6 months, a year ago, less than a year ago. But what I did, I actually, had a computer with the MS Office on it, and I sold the computer, and I even bragged to that buyer that, there is official license of the Microsoft Office on the computer as, the bonus. But actually what I forgot is to unsubscribe, because I paid for a year, and then, the year passed, and obviously the Microsoft took money again from the card that I pre-authorized to purchase that Microsoft. And yeah, and then there was also like one huge thing that bothered me, because I ran a business via my web page. So I built everything on Shopify, and on Shopify I installed Stripe. So I was even paying monthly to Shopify and monthly to Stripe to use the services. And at one point, I remember, I was always late with the payment or near the due date, and having a liquidity problems, obviously. And I remember that I sold the products through my webpage for $800, but still I couldn't get money on my bank account, because Stripe said, it's gonna take 5 to 7 days to get money on your bank account. And I sold actually something because they took money from that customer. But at the same time, they said, we're going to discontinue, the service to you if you don't pay in the next 24 hours. I was so late. And usually, even like the Stripe and Shopify, they're really, fast on that. They don't give you a lot of time or a grace period during which you can be late. And I was mad, because I had money. They took the money from the customer, but I couldn't actually use that money to pay them. And I said, fuck, this is not working right. And I talked to Marco, and I said, Marco, listen, a lot of people are using subscriptions, and do you have the same problems as I do? And we talked, and then we talked about how those service providers are taking money from us on those free trial trips, because they they say to us, listen, we have a great service, and we give you like 14 days to try it for free, or 7 days, or 31 days, whatever. But still, we are not gonna charge you, but give us your card, and that's all that they need, for you, to give them the information about your card, to put in those numbers. And what we often tend to do, and especially I, because I'm so busy and I don't have any tool to track all those things. At least I didn't have at that point. So they, I would forget to unsubscribe on time, and they would charge me for the next billing cycle, or even, for a whole year. So that was a crazy thing, because they are allowed to take, the amount for the whole next year. Yeah, so we talked, and he said, Vedran, that's a huge problem. I have the same problem. I'm losing money on things that I'm not even using anymore, but I subscribe to them. I don't know to what I did subscribe with my card. And then he complained about the free trial traps. And but interestingly, Marco at the time was working for Intuit, for the biggest fintech company in the world. It's a huge company. I don't know if you heard about it, but you can Google it. And he was one of, his team had the 4 people. Actually, Marco invited me a couple of times to go to Intuit in the Valley. And really nice company, a lot of buildings. They have those robots which are bringing you food, but those robots are autonomous small vehicles. It was crazy. And he actually introduced me to his team. Marco was working on a couple of things, but one of those things, so he actually worked on a lot of products within the Intuit. One of the most famous products is QuickBooks. That's like a bookkeeping app, really famous in the States. People are using, even I was using the QuickBooks to run my business for accounting. It is the app that you pay for, I don't know, $20 or something. Then also he worked on product called Mint, which is basically a personal financing app, helping you to see, how much you're spending and to help you, to better manage your cash flow. And one of the technologies that he was working actually was on credit scoring for Intuit. And Marco is AI expert, and he, with his team, built a credit scoring system for Intuit, which they use to actually give credits out to people without having the insight in their income. And that was a huge thing for them, because they were just using the data and information from the QuickBooks. So how much people were paying for something, and they managed to actually, from those payments and all the data, figure out when somebody could on which date somebody could actually get salary, get paid, and how much money would somebody get. It doesn't have to be from the salary, but just they were searching through those patterns and trying to figure out what is your income monthly and yearly and things like that. So, and actually with their credit scoring system, without knowing how much you're getting paid, they beat the FICO's credit scoring system, which is a national credit scoring system which banks are using in the US. By the way, Marco has a 27 peer-reviewed patents in the field, so transactional monitoring system and things like that. You can check it on Google. It's easy to find. Just type Marco Rukonic patents, you're gonna see it. But why is this important? Because Marco could give me from because he was working for the company, insights about how much people are spending on the subscriptions, how much they were losing money and things like that. And we talked about it, and I said, that's a big problem in the industry, because obviously subscription business model is growing with time. Soon we're gonna be paying everything on subscriptions, and then that's big unfair game, because those service providers, they can do whatever they want. Once we give them or pre-authorize our cards with them, which are connected to our banking accounts, to which we are getting the salary, or I don't know the income, monthly incomes and things like that. And then they are using so many tricks, how they charge and take money from us. And there is nothing, to make this process transparent. There are no tools how to actually better follow how much you are paying something for, with what, and things like that. And I said, there should be some kind of app to help do that. And he said, there is a mint, we are doing that, but it's a passive app, which actually is, you can set up the subscription that you have, but it's basically the tracking app, and then you can set up the notifications, the alarm and things like that, but we cannot actively stop the payment. And I figured out, I Googled and I figured out there are a couple of those apps out, and the big company which is starting at that moment was a Truebill in the US, but all those concepts were similar. And I said, but Marco, we need to do something that can actively help people to manage those payments. And he said, I have a sense how we can do it. And I said, I have my own idea. And he asked, send me your idea. And I said, we should, this could be done through the debit cards. They don't have even to be physical. We can use virtual debit cards, because also I was a customer of Revolut at that time, and I was actually using their virtual debit cards as a walk around to help me save my ass from those unwanted expenses, because I would use that disposable virtual debit card. But the pain was because for those things that I wanted to pay repeatedly, I couldn't, because that card was disposable. So each billing cycle, I would have to enter different virtual card number. And I was limited also by Revolut, how many of those I can get and things like that. And he said, this is the good approach. And this is actually what I was trying to push within the company, and nobody listened to me. And this is exactly how I want to solve the problem. And basically, this is how we started to talk about the Revuto. We didn't have a name at that time, but I was more and more with time intrigued, with the concept, because there was nothing else out there. And then also I was, fed up with the things that I was working on. And the last nail in the coffin about my previous startup was that when the COVID hit us, so China was the first country to go into lockdown. I couldn't raise money, and I had, the manufacturing partner in China who was waiting for me to raise money. I couldn't, and they said, Vedran, we are going into lockdown. Later they replied, we have a big backlogs and we're not going to be able to support you even if you raise money. We gave you a really good offer, good price, but even if you wanted to wait for us, the prices are going to be much different and things like that. And I said, this is not going anywhere. But in my small brain, back in the head, I was always thinking about Revuto, and I was thinking about also crypto. Because it went well for me, I started to follow everything. I went to those events, crypto events. At the time, Dash was a huge thing, Zcash, Monero, all those guys had presentations in Silicon Valley. I would talk with them, and I figure out somehow that Web3 in general and the blockchain is giving us so much opportunities to build different products and actually to engage the community, the people, when it comes to liquidity into the play. And in a way, I always say that the crypto, or like the blockchain, is just a natural evolution of the traditional financial system, because some things were broken. Again, we were fed up with the setups which I explain. Centralized entity, holding my money. Then also I was fed up with that, that I cannot send the money easily cross-border. When I started to earn some money, I would send some, change to my family, to my mother, and I couldn't do easily through the bank, because it would take time. It is you have to make a wire transfer in the US. That's complicated, and with crypto, all those things were much easier to do. And yeah, I came back to Croatia, and I said, Marco, Marco, I'm gonna gather a team of people which I believe in, which have the same passion about those things, and I'm gonna try to build a team, and I'm gonna try to do it, to make the app which is gonna help people to actively manage their subscriptions, but it's gonna have the crypto component as well, because the crypto is next thing. It's here to stay. And I believe that we can, through the, by combining Web2 experience and Web2 product in a way, just like the fintech product with the crypto, which is Web3, but still to, offer that through the Web2 experience, through the really easy, understandable user interface and user experience. I think that we can do good, and I already then, when I was using in 2017, 18 crypto products, I knew that, the biggest problem with mass adoption of the crypto is going to be the user experience, because for me, it was, at the time I learned it and everything, but still it was really complicated for me to use crypto products. Obviously, at that time, there was no DeFi, but still, non-custodial wallets and things like that, it was complicated. And I said, this needs to change, and we need to build something that's going to be easy to use. And I was a big fan of that approach, that everything needs to be mobile first, because there's the future in the States. Even now, all over the world, people are having their phones, tablets all the time with them. You don't go around and take your desktop computer, laptop with you. You have your smartphone. And yeah, I gathered a team. I also invited Josipa to join us, because I met Josipa also in the States. That's really interesting, because we are all from the same city, but we actually, for the first time when we met in US. I met Josipa in 2016 at CES, when I was also presenting my previous product and a startup. She was at the time also in the hardware business, so somehow we stayed in connection. She was really kind to me, because she knew how much I was struggling. She actually, her company pre-ordered devices from me, and she would now and then call me and ask whether and how it's going on and things like that. And when I decided to work on this, I called her back and I said, I have some interesting thing, how your business is going. And her business, she was doing fine, but nothing even close to, I guess, what her capacity was. And I thought, she could join us, and again, try to make something big. And that's how it started. Basically, we started everything with our own funds, with our own money. And this was something also very important to me, because I said, this time I'm going to start something that we can actually kickstart by ourselves, not to raise money from investors, because I was also fed up with pitching to VCs and trying to explain them how, my passion, my vision, and what I'm trying to achieve, and then they would ask stupid questions, and that actually didn't work for me. Maybe it would if I stayed longer, but I said, no, now I'm gonna just avoid all those pitching events and things like that, demo days, accelerators. I was fed up with the people trying to tell me, what I should do, what I need to do, how I need to pitch, what my presentation should look like, and things like that. I thought that I was above that, and I decided, with Marco, with experience and his knowledge, and with a good team, to start something by ourselves. And yeah, so we started to work on this. I don't know, maybe even in 2019, we actually I uploaded the or 2020 or something like that. I don't remember, but I found the agency, we paid for it, we put the web page out, and then I already that time knew that for the fintech companies, the biggest problem was user acquisition, and I knew how they were using investors' money to get to new users, because they would pay you money if you referred that product to your friend. And I said, this is not going to work for us because we don't have money. But listen, still, if we do that with crypto, this could work because actually, for the crypto, if we sell story and if people like, if they're going to like it, then, the token that we're going to promote could, be worth something. And that's a that's the beauty of crypto. It's also like somehow like a childhood dream, because you can print your own money in a way, and then if people say oh, okay, this makes sense and I'm willing to invest in it, then you have something that is worth something. It's not just like paper money. It really has some value. And I said, listen, we're going to build an acquisition model around the crypto and use the crypto to incentivize people to onboard with us. And also, so we did amazing referral program. And yeah, and we started to do talk about raising money. So we spend money that we invested. I brought in my couple of my friends who invested some money, so that those investors would be really small ones, like 5,000 euros, 10,000 euros. So there were a couple of guys, maybe they invested more, but not many. So for instance, we had like the most that somebody invested in us was 50,000 euros. So altogether, I think that we spent 200 or 250 to build the web page, referral program, and use everything to be ready for the ICO. But still, regarding the ICO, I have to mention that we did try to raise money through the traditional way. So we said that we're gonna raise pre-seed 300K, and that didn't work as well. So I actually said to Josipa, and she was not so much involved in crypto. I said to Josipa, listen, we should go to the ICO, and I believe that we can raise money through crypto. And she was really, really upset with that and afraid, because she said, if we do that, and even if we succeed, then we are not going to be able to raise money on traditional way, because she knew how that worked, the VC money and the rounds. And I said, that's not the case. And even if that's the case now, those things are going to change, because even the VCs are going to with time, be involved more with the crypto, because it's an opportunity and it's a really awesome thing. And she said, I don't know, if we fail, then we're not going to be able to raise at all, and things like that. And I said, listen, this is not working, and we should go for it. And even why, because the crypto was always the part of our product. It was a big part. And I said, I think that people are going to understand what we are trying to do, and that we should print out, mint our token, and sell the portion of that token to the people who would bet on us, and actually try to raise money through that. And we actually did the preps for that probably six months before we did the ICO. So we did everything. We started from scratch. I remember that the first thing that we try to do is to build the community, and I was so afraid, because we opened those Twitter accounts and the Telegram channel, and the first month it was terrible, because we just had 100 followers, and it was really hard to pick up the momentum. But somehow we managed to find the people who were involved into crypto here in the region, and believe it or not, people connected to Cardano. I remember that the Cardano had meetups here in Croatia, and I don't remember that any other blockchain had meetups. And there was that guy called Marin. He was a Cardano ambassador, and we would meet regularly in one bar. It was nothing special, but still, it was interesting to see that the Cardano has a strong community. And then with time, I learned that there are actually people from Croatia working on Cardano. There was a guy called Nikola. He was working with his team for IOHK on Daedalus wallet. Then there was other guy, not just from Croatia. There were people, actually even more people from Serbia, from our neighboring country, working for IOHK. So I met with them, and somehow when we were deciding on which blockchain we should actually do our token, I remember I talked to a couple of guys here in Croatia, and they were all about Ethereum. Ethereum is the best, not Cardano. Cardano is a ghost chain, nothing is happening there. Yeah, the good community, but much smaller than Ethereum. And I said, but for our use case, which actually is going to be used, that people can use crypto even to pay for those subscriptions. And to do that, you need to pay for gas fees, and those payments would usually be between $10, $15, $30, something like that. So I cannot see, how something on Ethereum would work, because if you have, I don't know, if you need to pay for Netflix $10 and then use $10 and even more to pay for gas fee, that's not going to work. And Cardano, is much better in that regard. Also, yeah, we scheduled the ICO for June 2021, and around 2020, that was December, I got a feeling that we are heading towards the new bull cycle. And I said, and that was one of the reasons also, why I managed to tell my team, even to Josip and Marko was more supportive, but Marko, he understood the crypto and everything and the blockchain technology, but also I was the one most involved with it. But Marko said, I trust you. I see that you know a lot of about those things, and I am going to support you, and I believe in you, and I believe in what you are trying to do. So to get back to the point, somewhere around February was the first time that we actually introduced ourselves to the Cardano community. That was on the Cardano 360. The thing that also helped us to make that decision to move to Cardano was the opportunity to be among the first ones to build something on Cardano and to actually, go out live. I remember that, maybe that was March. Don't take me for granted, but before that, you couldn't even mint native token on Cardano, native asset. So I said, this is early, the ecosystem is young, and we can also take advantage of the opportunity, not just to make, to do ICO among the first ones, but also to launch the product, because I knew that the Cardano at that time didn't have smart contracts yet. They were scheduled for later. And then I said that maybe this could be our advantage, because for the core use cases that we are trying to do to, allow people to use crypto to pay for those subscriptions through the virtual debit cards. For debit cards, we don't necessarily need smart contracts. Yeah, we need smart contracts for more advanced features than that, but for this, like the basic thing, no. And maybe, if you launch that product before everybody else, and it's going to be on Cardano, we're going to be using, people are going to be using the Cardano native asset, this is going to be really good. And, there were a couple of other things as well. I started to follow the Charles and, his passion and everything. The community was good. Again, met with a lot of people, and somehow, it was just, came natural for us to build something on Cardano. Obviously, there was a lot of hate from the people from the region who were into crypto, and when they heard, that Revuto is going to go, that we chose the Cardano to build on, they said, I don't know, you're the scam and things like that, and the whole the Cardano is scam. But again, I actually said, we're going to build on Cardano. And that was also the interesting thing was that that was the cycle when the DeFi was the thing. It was a really hot topic. And I remember when I asked for help here from the people who were involved with crypto to, help us. And they all said, this is not going to work, because that's a fintech product. You're just trying to push the crypto, force the crypto into the setup. You don't have a DeFi. You're not a DeFi. This is not going to work. People are going to tell that you're the scam. You just want to use the money to, you just want to do the ICO to actually take money and blah, 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 blah. But actually, nobody understood what we were trying to achieve. So to make things short. Also, yeah, we at the time I was also investing in crypto, and I was really unlike in 2017, I really was afraid that, you know, the bull run is going to end. In 2017, when I was raising money, when I was investing in crypto, I didn't even think that, you know, the bear market is going to come, and then I lost a lot of money. This time I was really cautious, and I remember that I remember those days like they were yesterday, I believe, or 17 or 18 of April 2021. There was the, you know, the correction, the crash, and I already knew, you know, I was afraid, you know, that we're gonna go into bear market, because somehow, you know, we went over the previous all-time high with the Bitcoin, and it was already 6 months or closing to the 6 month, not already, because I believe that the January was, I don't know, the Bitcoin was around 20,000. But again, I was really afraid that we're gonna miss opportunity if we don't launch at the right time. So I even, you know, we weren't ready. We were never ready. We were afraid about everything. We didn't have money actually to do good marketing. So I said, you know, we're gonna do it 2 weeks earlier. And you know, everybody was, you know, come on, how we were stressed and everything. I said, you know, I'm afraid that, you know, the June is not going to work. Let's do it in the middle of the May. And they said, you know, but we are not ready. I said, you know, it's better to launch when you're not ready, but at the right time, than, you know, when you're ready in the wrong time. And luckily we did that, although I think that even in June we would do well, but we actually didn't know, you know, how that's going to develop. And even the raise was really, that was a strange story, because I said, you know, we're going to raise 10 million. For our circumstances here in Croatia, that was a lot of money. But what I learned being in San Francisco and in Silicon Valley is that those startups, companies raising there a lot of money in seed and pre-seed stage, they are in big advantage compared to anybody else, and especially startups coming from Croatia, because we didn't have much money, and, you know, and competing with those guys who have funds, can hire, can do much things, you know, that's tough. And I said, you know, like, listen, this is going to be off or on. So either if we're going to do a good race or we don't race at all. So if you raise like 2 million or 3, at the time we were talking maybe like 3, 4, I said, you know, okay, it's going to be fine, but I'm not sure if this is going to be enough. And I put everything on paper, and I said, you know, guys, let's do this. Let's make 10 million. And then it's going to also resonate better towards the community and everything who wants to invest in us, because if we raise just like a 2 million, we're not big enough. And if we want to really make, you know, big, not just a big story, but the product that people are going to use all over the world, you know, this needs to be huge. And let's go after 10. It's going to help us and put us in much better position. And actually that decision was one of the best, because when we started to promoting ourselves locally, mostly, that, you know, was a huge news, because, you know, when the people saw that those titles, Revuto is raising 10 million, you know, it was a huge thing. It was like something, you know, noticed. And even, you know, that there were clickbait titles like it's gonna be like the, I don't know, 3rd or 5th the biggest race altogether in Croatia, and things like that. So it was a huge news. Also, we had a lot of problems with marketing, because I knew that we don't have funds to market ourselves, not only locally, but worldwide, because agencies are, you know, charging a lot to promote yourself, and especially if you want to promote something that's going to be built for the world, then you need to promote that worldwide, but that's not possible. So yeah, but we got lucky, because the guys from that agency that we work for, they were supporting us. Some even like put a small amount of cash in us, and they said, you know, guys, we're gonna help you and we're gonna borrow you money, not give you money, but we're gonna do some marketing services, you know. And so if this is, you know, this is gonna be bad, and I put my balls on the on the plate. And luckily that went well, because if it didn't, I would have to repay that debt. It was like something around 100,000 euros. But okay, they knew, they believed in us. I thank them for that they took that bet, because even, so just also to tell you, so we really had a small window to promote ourselves, because we didn't have a lot of money. So we said, we're going to promote ourselves for 12 weeks, 2 weeks. And first week is going to be, we're going to push it locally, and then try to spread it across the border. And the second week was reserved for promotion for a worldwide, let's call it so, promotion. So in the first week, we really got big interest from the local community in Croatia, and then we used all money that we had to promote ourselves, mostly through the crypto related web pages, sites, and things like that, like even the Cointelegraph and usual things. But what was really working very well for us was that referral program, and amazingly, even so we were giving away tokens to people who would bring friends to us, and then there was a progress through that process. So if you would bring 5 people, you get this. If you bring like 10, you get this. And it was the 30 was the most, and after that there was no progress, but then you would get some more percentage and things like that. But when we started to pitch what we're trying to do, it somehow resonated very well with the people, and we already built some community and presence within Cardano. So yeah, the story picked up, and that referral program started to work really well. So I went to YouTube, and I even saw the influencers and the people doing the video about the Revuto, and sharing or promoting their referral link. Also, what is really interesting about what we did, basically we decided, well, at the time Cardano didn't have a launchpad or everything, but we said, we're going to launch on Cardano. We're going to build a launchpad on our webpage, and we're going to allow people only to exchange ADA for our token. We didn't say, because there was, we could decide, to take Bitcoins, Ethereums, and things like that. But we said, we are Cardano project, and we're going to just, take the ADA and give them Cardano native asset. Because at that time, I believe, well, I remember the Okan 5 was the first, those guys were the first to contact us, and they were really strange because they were trying to push us to mint on Ethereum, which was really strange to me. And also the way how they tried to, push that out and work with us, because they knew that we were the first ones, and they built some kind of launchpad, and they said, we want to work with you, but don't ever tell, this is stealth. I don't know, they were so, I don't know, suspicious about the Cardano IOHK or things like that. So they just, said, don't ever mention us to them and things like that. And I said, that was really strange to me. And I followed what they did and how they launched their own token and things like that. So I'm not going to go into that. I wish them all the best, but still, I thought that for us would be the best to build everything by ourselves. And we built a launchpad with the help of the company Frim here in Croatia, which didn't know anything, or not anything, but they didn't know much about building the setups on Cardano and how the UTXO works and things like that. They were mostly building the things on Ethereum. And they said, okay, let's try. And we built a launchpad, and we actually, set up everything on Cardano. So, and I said, if we want to play it big, we need to launch it, by ourselves. Yeah, that was it. So basically we did the token sale in 18th of May. That was the first day. It was a Tuesday. I remember that was the second time that, not the second time, there was one big correction even before the April. But on 18th, from 18th to 19th May, there was a big correction. And I remember that somebody told me during the ICO webinar, did you see that? I said, what? Well, ADA, fell down to $1 from, I don't know, dollar, maybe $2 or even more. It was just like, but it rebounded to $1 40 or 60, but it was really stressful because I thought, that this is gonna ruin our opportunity to raise money. So yeah, we explained everything. I think that we prepared everything very well. We were communicated all the time, the team, what we are trying to do, what the problem we are trying to solve, but obviously also the momentum helped, being the first to launch the public token sale on Cardano. There were a couple of other products already out there. I heard about the World Mobile Token guys and things like that. They did the private rounds, but we didn't do that. Also, yeah, we did the private round and we actually didn't talk to any crypto VC. There was one local crypto VC, or the guys who actually, managed to put together a group of people to invest in us, and that was mostly it. And then, we announced that we promoted that the Black Dragon VC invested in us. It was maybe $200,000, something like that. But again, interestingly, the whole private round, which was around like 1.5 or 1.7 million, I don't remember exactly, but we raised that through the retail investors. So the biggest investment was like around more than 400K in ADA. So that was really, I was amazed to see that retail investors were really, really interested in helping us to build the product. So yeah, after the token sale, we had a few of those runs. We immediately continued to work on the product. So the first version of the product was out 1st of August, and that was really tough period because we actually, when we did the white paper and everything and the roadmap, it was really packed roadmap, and I couldn't anticipate so many problems, that we're gonna encounter while building the app, and it was really tough to meet those deadlines. And I remember, that we were working night and day to actually put the first version of the mobile app out. So basically a little more than 2 months after the ICO, and that was crazy. But what was even more crazier was, we had really awesome community and everything, because I always say we basically literally raised funds in minutes, because all rounds were, between 20 minutes and half an hour, something like that, and we would be oversubscribed, and we would return money to the people who were sending us money afterwards and things like that. So that was really tough, but we did some mistakes. The first mistakes that we did was that release schedule. I really paid a lot of attention on the tokenomics, and the token distribution, and all that, how much we're gonna raise, how what percentage is going to be reserved for the token sale, for team and advisors, for the company, and all the things that we are trying to do. But still, the biggest chunk of our token sale was sold in that round called community sale. It was $5 million, and to those guys, they paid the most for the token, but they got the opportunity to unlock their tokens before everybody else. And we said that the lockup period is going to be 3 months. That was the first mistake that we did, because already after the token sale, I saw, when we started to work, this is not going to be good, because in 3 months we cannot do much. And there I was afraid that, if we send them the tokens, then they're going to sell the tokens, and it was a big chunk of the whole, that 32% of the total supply, half of that was reserved for the community sale, and I was afraid, that people are going to sell that, and then we're going to be big trouble regarding the support. I didn't care much about the token price and everything. I was just, trying to care about the community, and that we don't lose the community. Really huge. It was tremendous response from the community, and I didn't want to lose that, because, that gave us some momentum, the people believing in us. And then, yeah, immediately after the token sale, even like in June and July, people were already, going to our social media channels and asking, where is the app? Why the app is not out? You're the scam. You're the scam. I'm gonna kill you. Not all the messages, but now and then I would, every day I would get those kind of messages, and it was really stressful, and especially people who within our team who didn't know about crypto, because they didn't know how the crypto investors and the community react, and sometimes those people are really, really harsh, and there was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of community managers, we call them. So I think that at one time we had like more than 10 or 13 people working on all social media groups, on Telegram, on Twitter, on Discord, and they all had a lot of followers, members, and they were always telling me, Vedran, we need to push things, we need to, because this is gonna crack. And yeah, it was really tough for us to put out the app in August out, but then we were preparing for the September, because that is when we had to unlock that community sale tokens. We said we're gonna unlock it. There is a 3 months unlock period, so we didn't I knew how that needs to go, because we don't want to allow to unlock everything at one point, to create selling pressure. So we should gradually unlock it. And there was also the problem that at that time there were no smart contracts on Cardano, so we couldn't make that release schedule through the smart contract. So we had to do things manually, and there was also like the backlash about that, because they said that we can control when we're going to unlock it, and we can do whatever we want. So also what was important for me at that time, this is going to be the long one, but I just wanted to explain everything, how it went from the beginning. So yeah, I said, when we unlock those tokens, we need to provide the liquidity for those tokens. So it's not, those tokens, if we, put them out and the token holders cannot exchange those tokens, it's not also be good for us. That was also one of the mistakes from our side. So maybe, maybe that wasn't the, how would I put it? Maybe I didn't have to pay so much attention about that, because at that time, nobody from Cardano was listed on any exchange, and I knew that DEXs are not going to be ready. So yeah, that, even if we would send tokens out to our investors, they wouldn't be able to sell them, but I knew that that would be big fight around the project, because they would say to us, that we send them something that they cannot do anything with those tokens. So I was afraid about that. So what we did also, we decided I was pushing that to build the Cardano wallet within the app. Why is that so? Because even through the token sale, we said to people, don't send us ADA from exchanges, because if we follow the flow of the money, of the funds, and to run and to return Revuto token to that address, I'm not sure if they would get those Revuto tokens, because exchanges, first of all, they change addresses, and secondly, they cannot see the Revuto token. They cannot recognize the Cardano native asset, at least at the time. So I said, it would be the best to release those tokens within our app and to the wallet. And we decided to do non-custodial wallet, but then there was a big problem how to build the Cardano wallet in such a short time. And we managed to do that, in-house with the help from the guys from the Vacuum Labs at Adelaide. And we built a non-custodial wallet, and I was really pleased with that, because then I knew, if we release those tokens to wallet, which is part of our ecosystem, then they're gonna stay there. I didn't even want to, push them out from our ecosystem on even to exchanges, to give them opportunity to immediately, if they decide so, to leave us and sell those tokens. So, but we released that, we were a bit late. We released that in October, and we started to actually send those tokens out. They could claim those tokens from the token cell. They already saw, in the app, how much of those tokens they have, in which round they invested, and things like that. And that went really smooth. But it was tough. And also immediately after the token sale, what was really amazing, it was the fact that we immediately started to talk with exchanges. And we knew that it was going to be tough because non-exchange at that time, nobody did list except ADA, Cardano token. And we started, we didn't know much about the business, and we started to talk with, I don't know how many those people trying to offer us services about the listings and market makers and things like that. And eventually what we did, we actually got in touch directly with those exchanges with our help from Philip. He was really amazing with that process. Later on, we named him a listing king, because what he managed to do was actually to get in touch with all those tier 1 exchanges. And we said, we're going to just list on tier 1. I'm not interested in, I don't know, those exchanges that nobody knows, because we are a big project, and we just, if you want to stay big, we need to list on tier 1. I knew that it would be impossible to list on Binance at the time, and Coinbase and Kraken and things like that. But I said, at least KuCoin. KuCoin is good enough. Those guys are really famous, and we managed to get in touch with those guys, and they liked us. Still, there was a process, because we didn't know, the legal opinions about that. We are not security, so we actually managed to get 2 legal opinions. One was from the Dentons, which is really a famous legal office, and then the second one was even from the US, because we wanted to actually be listed on exchanges which are accepting the US customers. That was one from the New York, and then we signed a deal with the KuCoin on 24th of September, and we were so pleased about that. But we didn't want to say anything to the community that we signed with the KuCoin. We just said, we signed with the tier 1. Later on, when we said, we were talking with other exchanges, and when they heard that we signed with the KuCoin, everybody wanted to work with us. Then the second option was Gate, and we managed to do the sign with them as well. And we said, we're going to try to we knew that we're not going to get listing date much in advance, because that's the policy. Because if they would tell us that we could manipulate the market and things like that, so they actually tell you maybe 2 to 3 days in advance tops, when you're gonna get listed. But again, everything was scheduled, for the listing date to go together with the KuCoin and the Gate, and they promised to us, and they're going to list us in October or November. And we were really pleased with that. But unfortunately, KuCoin had other things in mind, so they were stalling. They didn't reply on time. That period of time, we were heading to second that top, double top was at that cycle, and a lot of projects were trying to list. And the fact that they had to do some technical integration and checkups on a Cardano native asset didn't help. We even put the document for them to explain them what they need to do, to integrate us, and how that goes, but that didn't help. So there was some kind of sign also in December that they maybe could list us around the 15th, and I would be pleased with that. But in the end, they told us we were already in January, and I was so angry on them and on everything. But they said, and the community was really angry. and they thought that we were lying and everything. And once they announced the date to us, and that's going to be on the 7th of January, we immediately prepared everything and the marketing activities and everything for the listing date. And we just decided to go for it. If you ask me now, we did that. We were forced by the community, to list the token as soon as possible, but we were not ready, because also at that time we started to work on a couple of things, and one of the things was the staking center, because I said, we want to build that in our app to offer people incentives to stay with us through the process of developing everything, because we couldn't launch the core feature so early. And so those incentives were not ready. And then, when I saw so that is 7th of July, I believe that was on Friday. And when the day before I saw how many tokens went out of our ecosystem to KuCoin, actually, I knew that it's going to be a lot of selling pressure on our token. Also, the bad thing was, but yeah, just to go through these things, bad thing. I don't think that was a very bad thing, but still, for investors, it was a bad thing, because we got listed on the day when the Bitcoin went for the first time below. It lost that support on $40,000, and then everybody was already thinking, we believe that this is it, and we're gonna go into bear market. Yeah, what was for us was tough, because in even in September, I still didn't know when people are going to launch DEXs on Cardano. So in September was that hard fork, when smart contracts are gonna were allowed on Cardano. Cardano went to almost $3. It was big hype around it, and I said, so it shouldn't last long until somebody build the DEX. And what would help us also to provide the liquidity of our token to our token holders. The first DEX that went out was MusliSwap. And I remember the day, when my team said, there is a DEX on Cardano that nobody heard of, and everybody was waiting for the SundaeSwap or even the MinSwap guys to launch. And SundaeSwap, those guys were like the huge thing. And when the announcement came out on Twitter that the MusliSwap is out, and they actually wrote a post that they're supporting Revuto token. And I did a mistake there, because I said immediately to my team, because nobody heard about those guys, that this is not official, nobody heard about them, and I just wanted to protect the community, and I said, this is not official, we are not working with those guys, although we don't have to. They just said you can trade or exchange a Revuto token there, and it's a decentralized exchange, so I cannot do anything against it. But I still believe I did mistake, because I didn't got in touch with those guys, but they also, I believe, did a mistake, because it would be much better if they would reach out to us, explain who you are, who they are, and to make some kind of partnership or whatever to promote that thing. But obviously they were in a hurry, they wanted to launch first. And I remember also that my team, I didn't have time to check everything, and my team told me, listen, these guys from Musli, that's not even like a real DEX, they just have those matching orders and things like that, blah blah blah. So yeah, I didn't react right, and I apologize to Chris about it. So hopefully one day we're gonna meet, and we are even now talking together, because we have plans to do some things together, but later about that. So yeah, that was it. And I remember that when the MusliSwap went out, we were performing really well. Still, I'm always not trying to focus on the price of our token, because that's not my role. My role is actually to run the company, to make the business out of this. But yeah, it was it was important, very, very important to our community and token holders, because obviously a lot of them had a plan to earn a lot of money on our token and quickly, fast, and that didn't happen. But still, even I'm just gonna tell, what we did. Also, one mistake. So we were so involved with the community. I set up really high standards. I said, there shouldn't be any question on Telegram, Twitter, or Discord that unanswered for more than 1 or 2 minutes. So we had 24/7 support and everything, and we were really paying attention on the community, because the community was everything for us. That was our force more than anything. We had a good use case, and we were trying to build a really awesome product, solve a lot of problems for our people, but still, the community and the token holders are the biggest, value, and we had to, treat them well. And they were, when we released the tokens, I remember that to the Revuto app, to the non-custodial wallet, I immediately knew that it's going to be tough until we list tokens somewhere, because there were so many people in our token cell, almost 10,000 people, just to explain you how big of a thing we were. So we had a token cell on Tuesday, and we opened the registration to our token cell platform on Saturday. Until Tuesday, we had more than 40,000 people registered on our token cell platform. That was crazy. We already had a KYC integrated and everything, so we always paid attention of what we are doing and how we were doing. We didn't allow like US citizens and all those blacklisted markets to participate in our ICO. So, but again, to get back, I knew that when we release those tokens, that people are going to try to trade those tokens between themselves. And what happened? People started to send us messages that they were scammed, because they sent to somebody tokens. They were trying to sell that for money, and they would send tokens, and then the other party wouldn't send them back. There was no intermediate party like exchange to settle those exchanges, and they were losing money, and they were accusing us about not doing the right job, to help them, to offer them the right way how to sell those or exchange those tokens. It's not the sell; they would exchange it for something. And then I decided, to do something and help them internally, and then we build the system with the escrow through the Discord channel, which allowed people to safely trade those tokens for ADA. And that was one of the mistakes also, because we somehow calmed down the community and everything, but on the other hand, we somehow built that echo chamber of how I put it, also like people started to trade token and everything, but it was like the small space, how to put it, so it was still closed market, really unliquid market, but still somehow they managed to push the price of the token on that, let's call it unofficial market, really high, and people were buying those tokens for 4 times, 5 times more than during the token sale, and that was crazy. Some of them even probably more, and the expectations were really high, and then when we got listed, then they had really, and when we announced the listing, they really had even bigger expectations. So for us, it was really hard to meet all those expectations. And yeah, I remember that, a lot of those tokens were sold immediately. They were put on the market when we got listed. Also, there was a big problem when we got listed, because we had a problem with our wallet. somehow even Gate had a problem with their wallets, and they actually reached out to us on the Friday and asked, if we can lend them our nodes, because the wallet was down, and we had the same problem. Our wallet was down and we couldn't sync the nodes during the day, and that weekend was really terrible. Gate postponed the listing for Monday, so we couldn't list both exchanges at the same time. There was a problem with DEX. We didn't really communicate that well with the Musli swap. But in the end, when I look back at it, maybe it was for the better. I always say, some things happen for a reason. So if everything played out right, and even if we would be listed in as everything we agreed with the KuCoin in November or December or even October, the price would probably, because all that, like the October, November was crazy, that we were nearing that, like the double top thing, and the token would perform much better. But then just imagine, like in the end, those early investors would sell those tokens maybe for $1, $2, $3. But in the end, those guys, who would buy those tokens for $1, $2, or $3, maybe, they would get screwed, because in the end you cannot fool the market. We went into bear market, and then that gap between the all-time high and all-time low would be even bigger, and then we would be in even bigger problem, because people would say, this is the scam project, the scam token. Because in the end, those people that support you and that they have your token, yeah, they want to support you and everything, but they want to profit from that, and they're looking at price all the time, and they're just focused on the price. And then they start to talk to them and communicate everything that you want to do, and how they're gonna be able to use the token in the future within the ecosystem. Yeah, so it was really, really, really tough. And it was tough for me to make a decision, but it was even worse for our community managers, because they were on the first line and they were talking every day and night with those people, trying to push us to list as soon as possible. And they were telling a lot of crazy things about us, but we really did everything that we could to make that listing event possible. I remember when we talked to KuCoin, and they were talking to some other Cardano projects. One of those was Ardana, and they said, we decided not to list them. We chose you. And I believe that they chose us because we really had awesome community, and we also put a lot of emphasis on the marketing. At that time, we were promoting ourselves in the UK on the football fields, on rugby fields. We get the good offering somehow, and we could afford that. So we did some really good things, and those guys from KuCoin said, yeah, we want to list you from Cardano. There were some moments that when we actually could list with some other exchanges. So for instance, the Bitru was one of them, and I remember that I was talking to Cardano Foundation and pushing them to help us with KuCoin and with exchanges, and they said, we are not going to do that. We don't do such things, because our team, legal team is not allowing us to do that. So in a way we were forced to do things by ourselves. But in the end, they got back to us and said, listen, we are partnering somehow with the Bitru, so you should go get in touch with those guys. And I did get in touch with those guys, and I said, guys, okay, we're going to list with you, but only if we're going to be the first ones. And they said, yeah, you're going to be the first one to list on a Bitru. And then a few days later, I talked with their CEO, I believe, or somebody from that exchange, and they said, we're going to list Occam first. And I said, how are you going to list Occam? Because they're not even like Cardano native token. They have token on ERC20 blockchain. And I said, no, they have also like Cardano native token. They minted that too. I said, oh wow. So okay, they have two tokens, one on Ethereum blockchain, and and so now they're gonna have on Cardano, and what's even like the total supply of those tokens and things like that. I was really mad, and I didn't react well, and I got back to Jeremy Fisher from from Cardano Foundation, and I was really harsh on him, and he didn't understand, and yeah, that didn't went well. So sorry, Jeremy, about that. But I was really fighting for our project, and I said, when we knew that we're gonna list with the KuCoin, I said, we're not gonna even bother with those lower tier exchanges. Somehow we also that's why we listed in the end with the Bitmart, because before we signed with the KuCoin, to be at least sure that we have something, we signed deal with the Bitmart. We paid $50,000 to be listed there. That was not a lot of money. They didn't ask much, but they didn't ask much because they were not so famous exchange, and I knew that. But still, I said, at least something, somebody, and they were actually ready, and we could list with them before everybody else. But I was just waiting for a KuCoin, because I thought, that we're gonna be listed at a good moment. Yeah, in the end we did list with them, but that whole experience with exchanges in the end was really a good school for us. In total, all that mess costed us $1 million. A lot of money, because even the listing fees were really high, because we were at that moment when everything, like the prices of the tokens, were high. Nowadays, now you can list for much less, and whenever I hear how much you have to pay now to be listed on the same exchanges, I go into freak mode, because yeah, we paid a lot. We paid too much, actually. For a lot of things we actually paid too much, but I'm not going to go into those details as well. So yeah, Jesus, it's like 4 a.m. This is gonna be really crazy. So I'm gonna have to actually cut those things, the video. But let's now jump to what is important. This was just like an intro to Revuto and everything. But now I wanna just explain why Revuto, how we are different, what we are trying to do, why I believe that we have a really amazing setup connecting fintech and traditional financial instruments with the Web3 technology. We think that, combining those two, we can really offer better products, superior products, and that's the whole point. And only with that we can offer even people not just to save money, to pay less for those damn subscriptions, later on some other things as well. So we are now like focusing on recurring payments, but later on those can be utility bills and things like that. And we have plans for some other things as well. But yeah, to help people save money and take advantage of those DeFi setups when they actually can not only save,
if you
but
like
earn
Revuto and
some
think
money.
our videos are cool and informative, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss out on any of our new videos. Thank you.